Hello, everyone. Do you need to leave United States and hope to come back without reapplying for a visa? Many times my clients who are waiting for their green card want to travel out of the country, and they can do that with advance parole. However, USCIS changed their policy regarding this recently, and I want to make sure that everyone is aware of what it is so they don't get stuck not being able to come back to US. I'm Raluca Hania. I provide immigration, estate planning, and family law services for my clients. My marketing and office manager, Nina Clear, is here with me. Thank you for all your likes, shares, and comments as they help others to see our videos.
Okay, and just really wants us all to be sure that we know it's advance parole without a D on the end.
Yes.
Because I always try to make it advanced with a D because it's in advance, but okay.
Without a D.
So USCIS issues different types of travel documents, right?
That's right. They issue refugee travel documents, re-entry permits, carrier documentation, and advance parole documents. And we are going to be talking about the last one, the advance parole.
Will you define what advance parole is?
Sure. Advance parole means that you're given documents that say that you can leave the country and come back without having to get another visa.
Is there anything that would keep you from being readmitted?
Yes. Keep in mind that even if you have an advance parole document, re-entry is not guaranteed and it's not a right. You may still be denied. If you're not a US citizen, even if you have a green card, every time you come back into the US, you are subject to immigration review, and the Border Patrol or Customs agent determines if you should be allowed back into the US. I said that before. So if you had applied for asylum and then went back to the country you left, for example, you will also be denied re-entry. If you had been guilty of a crime anywhere, you may be denied re-entry, depending on the crime.
Right. And so we did do a video about advance parole before, kind of saying what you've just said. That's how you said. I said this before.
Yes.
But it's been updated.
Because people are surprised that if they have a green card, they might not be able to enter US.
Right.
But yes, as long as you're not a US citizen, nothing is guaranteed.
You have to be checked again. So yes. When do you see advance parole being used most often?
Most often when a person has applied for an I-485, which is the application for the green card, and is pending, or for asylum cases.
But advance parole is not fast or emergency approval though, right?
No, advance parole can take, just the approval for the advance parole application can take several months. I checked last week for one of my clients, and the National Benefit Center is saying that they are processing applications from August 2018 with a 4 to 6 months processing time.
And if you do obtain advance parole, I guess approval, you still need to have a valid passport, right?
Yes, that's right.
What about if you apply for advance parole and then you make travel plans? So I apply now in February and I make travel plans for July, which is 5 months, but they're saying it could be 6 months. So yes. You don't get your approval before you leave. Can you still go?
I would advise against it.
Why is that?
Because if your application is pending.
So your like green card 485 application?
Yes.
Okay.
And your I-131, which is the advance parole.
Oh, okay.
So both of them. If they are pending, you will be considered to have abandoned it if you leave the country. So this means that you will have to start the entire process again. And if you're out of status and try to enter US, you will not be allowed in. Plus, depending on who reviews your file, if they consider you were in the US without the legal status, you may be banned from coming back depending on how long you stay here illegally, from 3 to 10 years.
Okay, can you break that down for us? Explain first what you mean by you will be considered to have abandoned it.
Sure. The reason we are bringing this up is USCIS, without notice, changed their policy recently. So whereas before you might have been considered to have abandoned your application, now their policy says you will be, and this is a huge change. I know it can be confusing. People think, well, I applied to become a green card holder, so I'm safe. It might help if we use an example. There is a person who entered United States on a fiancé visa. As I recommend, immediately after marrying, they apply for a green card due to being the spouse of a U.S. citizen. Now they're waiting for this application to be processed, which can take over 2 years right now, depending on the office that is processing it. But they want to go on vacation to another country. So now they must apply for advance parole in order to leave the country and be allowed back in. But remember, being let back in is not guaranteed. So if they do not apply, they will be considered to have abandoned their application for green card, and USCIS will deny them a green card. This means that since it is denied, since they left the country, now they are also not legally able to re-enter the U.S.
Okay, so denying their abandoning their application means that they don't want it, and so they just get it denied, right? Okay.
Yes.
And can they reapply?
It would depend on their individual circumstances. Of course, they will have to, if they can, they have to pay again all the fees. They lost all this time that they were waiting already. So
it like starts over again. Basically.
Everything starts all over again. But also, if they were found to have been out of status and lived in the U.S. during that time, even for 1 day, they may not be able to reapply. It depends, again, for how long they've been here, for 3 to 10 years. So it's very risky.
So if we look at it like the fiance who applied, right? When they became a spouse, they're out of status. So then they apply for a green card, but they leave.
Yes.
And they're considered that they abandoned that. So literally from when they got married until now they're trying to come back in, they considered out of status. And if it's more than 180 days, it could be a 10-year ban that they can even come back into the U.S.
That's right.
So that's what we're looking at. It's pretty huge.
It
you
is.
know, if you leave without having that advance parole.
Yes.
So, and I know when you said you looked at it for your client, it's taking 4 to 6 months just for the advance parole decision. Is there a way to get it sooner?
Under very limited circumstances, you can apply for it, but before, however, you did that by submitting documentation at the USCIS Center or by calling them. But as of today, February the 4th, 2019, USCIS is no longer accepting walk-ins or phone calls. The InfoPass appointments. So I'm not sure how it's gonna go. We had another video talking about their new customer service policy. So you will need to call and talk with someone, and the person on the phone is gonna decide if they can make an appointment for you or not. And we don't know yet how this is gonna work, but as soon as we find out, we will be sure to let you know.
And then the other big change with the advanced parole is that this now applies to those who are here on H&L visas. And before, they didn't even have to get advanced parole, right?
Yes, and this is also a very big change and it affects a lot of people. H&L workers used to be able to travel without restriction, but with this new policy that has changed, they must also apply for advanced parole, and if they do not, they may be denied entry. This can be very confusing, but because it can change your legal status or ability to apply for one, I would recommend ensuring you have all the correct documentation needed by talking to an attorney before traveling. Thank you so much for watching today. Remember, we are always here to help and welcome your questions. Thank you and see you tomorrow.